Doing it back here again for our video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my experience at Carolina Rebellion 2017. And I wanted to do this video now because this weekend is Carolina Rebellion 2018, so I thought that this would be a great time for me to do a video and to talk about my experience. First off, if you guys can hear anything in the background, I actually have my fan on and I have my window open because it is really hot today. It's like 87 degrees and it's just been, this is the hottest that it's been this year, I think. I love this weather. You know, I'm so happy that spring is finally here and summer's on its way. So, you know, I'll take the heat. You know. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to do a video just talking about my experience at Carolina Rebellion because it was a really great experience. It was my first music festival experience. For those of you who don't know, Carolina Rebellion is a music festival for heavy metal and hard rock bands in North Carolina, and it was my first, like I said, my first experience at a music festival. You know, I've been to rock concerts before, and I was at one metal concert, which was back in 2009. I went to go see Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie. They played during the Gruesome Twosome tour. They played at a civic center in my town, the Roanoke Civic Center. So that was the first metal show that I'd ever been to, but I'd never been to a festival. I'd never been to a metal festival. I'd never been around that many people. I never saw that many bands in one place. So it was just a completely new experience for me, and it was an amazing experience. I went with my cousin Spencer, and he had been going ever since they first started. He went the first year that they had it, which I think was in 2010 or 2011. I can't really remember. And he's went back every other year. You know, he doesn't go every year, but he's went back every other year. So he's been there, you know, a lot of times. And he wanted me to come back in 2015 when he went with his friend Casey, and unfortunately I just didn't have the money for it at that time, so I just was not able to go. And since then he's been wanting to take me again, and last year he took me, and you know, it was really great. We got a chance to see a lot of our favorite bands, which was really great, and it was just it was an amazing experience to be able to share that with him because, you know, my cousin Spencer, he's like my brother. You know, I grew up with him. He was, you know, somebody that I saw every day. My grandmother and his grandmother, you know, she used to watch us, you know, while our moms worked, and so I would be over at his house, well, which was her house. I'd be over, you know, at her house, and we'd be there when we were younger, very young, I would say. This was probably back, like back before I even started school. You know, we were, you know, spending time together. We were so close, and you know, he was the one that introduced me to so many different bands. A lot of the new modern metal bands, like one of our favorite bands, Avenged Sevenfold, which is a band that we both got a chance to see, and a lot of other, you know, Disturbed and Killswitch Engage and All That Remains, all these really great bands. He's the one that introduced me to them, so it was great that I was able to experience it with him. So I'm just going to go ahead and just talk a bit about I want to talk about the entire weekend because it was a very eventful weekend. First off, we left, it was Friday to Sunday, and we left that Thursday night, and it was raining that Thursday, and you know, it's not too hard to get to where we're going. It's just once you get on the highway to the town we were going to, it's a straight shot, but you know, he just wasn't really, you know, it was a new town. There was a lot of new people there that he had never, you know, it was conditions that he had never driven in. Is what I'm trying to say. You know, because first off, it was raining. You know, it was on a highway. You know, and while we were driving, we were going 60, and everyone else around us was going like 70 and up. You know, and Spencer was just like, you know, I'm not going fast on this road. I've never, you know, I don't drive down. The only time that he would drive down that road is if he was going to Carolina Rebellion, and he didn't. You know, so the last time he's probably driven on that road was probably back in 2015, and it wasn't raining then. I actually remember when they left. It was you know, when he and Casey left in 2015, it was a bright sunny day, And well, when we went, it was dark and it was raining. I remember when he even pulled up to the house to get me. I was so excited because I was like, this was like the first like road trip that we'd ever really been on. This road trip to go see some of our favorite bands at an amazing festival. And I remember when he came up, my mom was there and Mike was there, and he turned to them and he says, take a look at how he looks, talking to me, talking about me. He said, take a look at how he looks, because he might not be in one piece when I bring him back. Just sort of joking, because, he has been there. Like I said, he'd been there since 2010. He had been there back when they really didn't have things as under control as they do now. He said that the first year he was there, everything was crazy. Of course, now everything is actually pretty, they got everything taken care of. They got everything secure. The people that put the festival on, they have everything under control there now. But when they first started, it was they were just getting started. So, but I remember we were driving on this highway. It was dark. It was raining, and I remember as we were driving, we drove past a road sign that said Parkway Drive, which was really cool because my cousin Spencer is a huge fan of the band Parkway Drive. He even saw them back in 2015 when he went, and it was a really big. It was just crazy that we got to see like a sign of a band that he loves, and I enjoy them too. I'm not as big of a fan of the band as he is, but I enjoy them as well. So it was pretty cool to see a sign that said Parkway Drive. He tried to take a picture of it, but unfortunately it was too blurry since we were driving. Also, we were driving, we saw, there was a lot of people flying past us because, they're used to the road. They live there, so they're used to going there. The only problem about, North Carolina is that you have to get to everything from the highway. It's not like there's smaller roads connected where you can just, if you want to drive, like if we want to drive from our hotel to like a store, a big store somewhere, we couldn't just drive on a road. We had to drive to the highway. So everybody there was, used to it, used to driving, and we weren't. So, but while we were driving there, we actually saw a car parked out, and let me give you guys some perspective. We're driving down this highway, and there's woods on both sides of us. And while we were driving, we saw a car parked on the side of the road, and we looked and we saw a woman dressed in what looked like a nightgown walking into the woods. And we were both like, what? No? Like, I don't know if she was on something or what, but, just when you're driving down the road, down a highway in the dark, in the rain, and you see a woman, walking into the woods, that's not good. But anyway, we got to our hotel, and our hotel was pretty, it wasn't bad. It had a TV, it had a little kitchen area, and then it had 2 beds. And, we went there, and of course we went to bed, because we got there pretty late. And we woke up the next day, and luckily it was still cloudy, but the rain had stopped. It did sprinkle a bit throughout the rest of the day, but it wasn't as bad as the night before. But I remember just laying in bed and just waiting for Spencer to get up, because the doors didn't open till... Well, not the doors, but the gates didn't open till, I forget, like 10 or 11, I think. I forget, but, we were just I was just sort of laying there, and he was sleeping in. I remember hearing somebody outside go, somebody talking to someone else, and they just go, "Rebellion?" And your guy goes, "Rebellion." So it's kind of cool, because you could tell who was there for Rebellion, because they were, dressed, of course they had their shirts on, their metal shirts or whatever, so you could tell who was there for Rebellion. Now, when we actually got to the gate, like I said, this is the first time I'd ever seen this huge area, this huge, place we were at. For some reason, they wouldn't let us in the time that they had originally said. I think it was supposed to open at 10, and it didn't open until like 10:15, or it was either 10 or 11, I can't remember, so it didn't open until like 11:15. So by the time we had got in, because we had to wait in a huge line of people, we had, the first band started playing, which, I never heard of the band before, so I wasn't really, you know, it was alright. It wasn't any band we wanted to see. Before we went to Rebellion, like a few weeks before, I started listening to a lot of the bands that I'd never heard before, because of course there were a lot of bands that we have heard that were playing, but there were some that we had never heard before. Like Beartooth was one band I never heard before. I Prevail was one. My cousin Spencer actually, he has heard I Prevail before. There was a few more. There was a Star Set, In This Moment, which were, you know, they were okay. You know, I think I like them more now that I've listened to more of their music. And there were several other bands that we had grown up listening to, like Skillet. And then it was, you know, like In This Moment was on Papa Roach. There were just a lot of bands that we had listened to growing up that we enjoy, and then there were some bands that we had never heard before. And I wanted to get I wanted to be able to listen to a lot of, you know, all the bands that we wanted to hear, and then some bands that we had never heard before. So when we first got in, the first band we decided to go see was the Dillinger Escape Plan, which was a band that I have heard music from, and I do enjoy their music. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I do enjoy them, and my cousin Spencer does enjoy them as well. And while we were walking up to the stage, you know, like I said, this place was a massive place. You know, if you're interested, just look it up online. So many people have done videos about Carolina Rebellion. You know, so many pictures out there. If you want to see just how big this place was, you can. And there were 4 stages. There was like 2 smaller stages and 2 larger stages. And I think Dillinger was playing on one of the smaller stages. So we walked over, and one of the larger stages, excuse me. And so when we walked over to Dillinger and we were waiting for them to start, there were 2 screens on each side of the stage, and those screens were showing the band that was playing on the stage before Dillinger came on. So while we were sitting there waiting, you know, we were watching the other band, and the band that was playing was Star Set. So we were able to see a little bit of Star Set. We got a chance to see, they played Demons, which is probably their most popular song, at least back when, you know, when they first got started. That was probably one of the more popular songs, and so we got a chance to see them playing, and we saw the lead singer go out and get up in front of the people, and it was just it was really cool. You know, I was glad that we were able to, while we were waiting for Dillinger, we were able to watch on the screens the, you know, Star Set that was playing a few stages over. And then Dillinger came on, and, you know, they were pretty good. I also got a chance to see my friend Kayla, who was one of my best friends in the entire world. She was there as well, and you know, she was there with her boyfriend and a few of their friends, so it was great to see them. But you know, we watched Dillinger, and they didn't really play a whole lot of songs that we knew, you know, because we haven't been listening to Dillinger for years. We just, you know, we knew about, you know, their older stuff and their newer stuff, but we hadn't really listened to them like for years. So they played a lot of their older stuff, but then they played some newer stuff as well. But they were pretty good. I remember the lead singer, he you know, he got the mic stick or the mic stand, and he was hitting bottles out to the audience, which was pretty cool. Then after that, we went to go see Of Mice and Men, which is one of my cousin's favorite bands, and I really enjoyed him as well. And it was a band that he wanted to see the last time he was there, but they canceled, unfortunately. And this was right before we went. I had told him that the original lead singer, unfortunately, was no longer in the band, and now the bass player was the singer. And so Spencer was kind of apprehensive. But once they started playing, and once we heard, yeah, I can't remember. I'm blanking on the bass player's name. Once we heard him sing, we were like, wow, he's a really great singer. And they opened up with probably my favorite song, Bones Exposed. That's probably my favorite song by them, which was really, really great. And then after that, we went to go see Amon Amarth, which was a band that, you know, I enjoyed as well. And you know, Spencer enjoyed it. And we loved how the stage was set up. They actually had like a Viking, the front of like a Viking ship with like a dragon, wooden dragon on the front. It was, you know, as their stage. It was on their stage, which was kind of cool. You know, they had that set up, and they did a really, really great set as well. Now, I do want to talk a bit about the people there. Now, for anyone who's never been to a metal festival or a music festival, I can tell that, and this is like me, you might be kind of nervous on how people are going to act, you know, because you're going to be there and you're going to be surrounded by people. you know. And I remember before we went, I was watching videos of other people talking about Carolina Rebellion and their experience and how it was. And then, you know, they all, and I even watched a Carolina Rebellion survival guide or whatever, which was just sort of a little video that a girl put up just talking about, you know, the things that you should bring in and the things, you know, because you were able to bring in a couple bottles of water and a few things in a small little bag that you could carry in. Um, and, you know, she talked a bit about that, which was kind of cool, but I was kind of nervous on how people were going to act. And I will say, everybody there is there the same reason you're there. They're there to have a good time. They're there to have fun and enjoy music and be together, you know. Now, I do know that, yes, when bands start playing, you know, it does get a little bit crazy. You know, but for the most part, no one's there to start trouble. Everybody's there to have a good time and just enjoy the festival. Now, of course, you do have to worry about body surfers. That was probably the you know, or crowd surfers. That was probably the one thing that I had to worry about, because while you were sitting there watching the band, you had to turn around a lot and make sure that somebody wasn't coming up behind you, a crowd surfer, so that you know, they wouldn't fall on you. You know, and then of course there were people doing circle pits around us and everything, which was really great. But for the most part, everybody's there to have a good time, you know. And as long as you're there and as long as you're cool with everybody, everybody's gonna be cool with you. So, you know, if you're worried that you don't know how people are gonna act at festivals, um, you know, just, you know, everybody's there to have a good time. I know my mom was kind of worried because of all the you know, the shootings that have been going on, and that, you know, I mean, of course they check you when you first walk in. They check your bag and everything. So I didn't feel worried about that, but I knew that she was kind of worried because she didn't know what people would do. Obviously, you know, if somebody had like a weapon, they weren't going to let them in. But still, you know, she's just worried about that. And but the thing is, you can't worry about that all the time. You can't not do things because you're worried that something like that could happen. You know, yes, it does happen, and yes, it is unfortunate, but you can't stop that you can't let that be the thing to make you stop living your life. But anyway, guys, after Monomarth, we decided that, you know, the ground was wet and it was getting kind of cold, you know, because it had rained before. It wasn't a hot, sunny day. It was actually cloudy and it was wet and everything. And so we decided to go ahead and go back to the hotel and rest for the next day, because we knew we were going to be there all day because there were so many bands we wanted to see the next day. And so we decided to go ahead and call it quits. And to be honest, I don't regret resting. You know, I don't regret going back to the hotel and resting, but I kind of regret not staying, because after Monomarth, there were only two other bands that we were really interested in seeing. One of them was Gojira, which, you know, I enjoy their music, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy them. But it was just a band that we were like, you know what, we can go ahead and skip those. But the one band that I regret not seeing was Soundgarden, because of what happened to Chris, like over a week later. You know, Soundgarden was a band. I didn't grow up listening to Soundgarden. Of course, I heard, you know, their music when they came on the radio. But I do know the impact that they've had. I know the influence that they've had with so many different bands and things like that. So, you know, I was a fan of theirs, but I wasn't a fan so much as like, let's stay and watch Soundgarden play, you know. And in a way, I kind of regret that we didn't stay, because unfortunately we will never be able to see Soundgarden play ever if we did decide to go see them now that Chris Cornell has passed away. So in one way, I kind of regret not seeing them, but in another way, you know, we wanted to rest, you know. So fortunately, we did not get a chance to see Soundgarden, and it's kind of crazy. Like about a week or so later, when Mike told me, hey, you know, Chris Cornell passed away, I was like, wow, really? And then he called, and then I think my mom texted Spencer, and Spencer was like, really? And so we were both just kind of like, wow, we could have seen them, and that would have been, you know, a little bit over a week before, so kind of sad. But anyway, guys, that was just day one. I'm going to do a video talking about day 2 and 3 coming up. But I just didn't want this video to be incredibly long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off here. And in my next video, I'll talk about the second and third day, and I have a lot to talk about on those 2 days. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. As always, if you guys want to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, links will be down below. If you guys want to join my movie collecting Facebook group, a link to that will be down below as well. I hope everyone's having a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.